Hi guys, this is Taylor and I'm here today with my January wrap-up. Can you believe that the first month of 2016 is over? I'm having a small existential crisis. Regardless, January was a very productive reading month for me, so let's get right into it. The very first book I read in 2016 was Reread, and it is the second book in a Things Not Seen companion series by Andrew Clements in preparation for the third book, which I hadn't read yet. This is Things Hoped For, and I'm not really going to talk about it too much because it wasn't new to me, but it was just as good as I remembered, if not better actually, and it was really nice to kick off the new year with something nice and comfortable. So obviously then I picked up the third book in the series, Things That Are. So the premise of these books is that our central character Bobby just wakes up invisible one morning without any explanation, and he has to figure out what he's gonna do, who can be trusted with this information. And the third book is now from the perspective of Alicia, who is a blind girl that we meet in the first book, and this takes place about a year or two after the events of the first book. And I loved this. It was super gripping. I breezed right through it. I thought this did a fantastic job of exploring trust and its consequences and ambiguity, gray areas. The sense that we get of Alicia in the first couple books is that she's always calm, cool, and collected, but because she's the narrator in this one, we get to see her as a real human being with real problems and anxieties, which was pretty refreshing. I will say that some things definitely happened way too easily in this book, but I still really enjoyed it and I ended up giving it a 4 stars. And at this point I just couldn't wait anymore and I picked up George by Alex Gino, and oh my god. This is a children's middle grade book about a young trans girl who is trying to come out to her friends and family and essentially the world. All I can say is that this deserves all the praise it's gotten, all the praise it will ever get, etc. It is so honest and real and engaging, and it's just exactly what the publishing world has needed for a long time, and I honestly can't think of a single thing that I would change about it. This does such a good job of cataloging microaggressions and exactly how they can build up on a person's mind, especially a young person's mind. And it provides us with not only a fantastic lead heroine, but also one of the greatest best friend allies in LGBTQ literature, who provides such a great example of how to become the best ally possible. I highly recommend this. If it sounds interesting, if it's been on your radar for a while and you haven't picked it up, please do yourself a favor and get yourself a copy. I gave this 5 stars, obviously. Next I picked up Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro and put it down. So then I read The Shadow Cabinet, the third book in the Shades of London series by Maureen Johnson. I've talked about this series quite a lot, so very quickly, this is a YA paranormal series that is set in and around a London boarding school. One of my favorite aspects of this series is that it's actually very firmly rooted in reality, even though it contains paranormal aspects, and this one just delved a little bit too hard into the fantasy realm for me. And once again, some things just happened way too easily and were unrealistic and just didn't really make sense at all. But I still enjoyed this. I gave it 3 stars. I'll happily continue on with the series, provided that ever happens. So then I resumed Never Let Me Go and put it down. Instead, I picked up Adam Rapp's Know Your Beholder, which was a massive surprise to me. This is about a recently divorced dude in his 30s whose mother has passed away and left him the old Victorian house that he grew up in. And he has converted this into apartments and he rents it out to tenants. He lives in the attic and has kind of developed agoraphobia because his profession is being a landlord and he doesn't have to leave the house. So it sounds like a sob fest, but this was hilarious and crazy and sad. I really enjoyed it. I found it compulsively readable. There is this rotating cast of characters, namely his tenants, who are all going through their own stuff. I could be physically laughing reading one page and then like genuinely choked up reading the next page, and that actually worked for some reason. I genuinely considered giving this 5 stars. I think I settled on a strong 4, but I would still highly recommend this to almost anybody. I will say though that it is told from a very male perspective, which kind of grinded on my gears a little bit, and the humor can be a little bit crude at times, but other than that I would really recommend it. It's a wild, melancholy ride. And after that, I finally picked up and completed Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, which, as you can probably tell, I have mixed feelings about. This one you're supposed to know as little about as possible, but I will say that this follows our main character as she reflects on her childhood in a boarding school, and there is a dystopian element, but by no means is this a fast-paced, action-packed dystopian. In fact, it's probably the slowest, chillest dystopian I've ever read. I can definitely appreciate the nature of a slow dystopian. There definitely is something about slowly peeling back the layers of the story to reveal this truth, but as you can tell by the fact that it took me all month to read this 200-page book, I had some problems picking it up because of the pacing. I definitely appreciated what it was doing. I really liked the writing style. It was very conversational, yet I really got the sense that it was crafted. So in the end I gave this 3 stars. It was somewhere in between appreciating what it is and just not really enjoying it personally. I could actually see myself enjoying a reread of this as long as I was in the right headspace, but until then. And the very last thing I read in January was Super Mutant Magic Academy by Jillian Tamaki. I had previously read Skim by the Tamakis and I really enjoyed it, so I figured I'd give this one a go. I was especially drawn in by the back cover, which just says, "The kids of Super Mutant Magic Academy want to be your friend." And I fell in love with this. This is just little vignettes about this academy for mutants, and it is laugh out loud funny. Seriously, I read this in the middle of the night and I think I woke some people up. I haven't read many graphic novels yet, but so far this one is actually my favorite. And I'm really sad that I have to return it to the library today. This got another very solid 4 stars. And that's it! That was my January. It's a pretty good start to the year for me. Here's hoping that you had a good month as well, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye! And the very last thing I read in Japan... What?